Hello, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Today, Monday, May the 29th, 2023. Joined tonight by two regulars, one semi-regular, half-regular. Our main man, Alec, making a guest appearance today. So,
I was about to say, Scotty, are you insulting me off the bat?
yeah, Rob only makes it when it's convenient.
That is true.
No, it's good to be here. Like I said, happy Memorial Day. Hope everyone's had a good day. Hope everybody took a quick moment to just, ponder today what it actually meant, other than just not having to be at work and, enjoy some day baseball, which is always fun. But definitely a good day, and always a good day when we can hop on and talk a little baseball with the boys. So, and Alec's going to headbang our way through through that intro. So
that's a bad day if he gets to the keys.
There you go. Oh yeah, everybody watch their lips.
Any letters or numbers that come out into any of the chats? Sorry, it wasn't me.
There you go. I love it.
Yes.
Well, happy Monday, boys. Hope you guys have had a good weekend, a long weekend. We were chatting before we got started. The weather obviously kind of put a damper, so to speak, on weekend and do anything outside really. So it's been kind of sit inside, watch any sports that aren't in the rain, and let it rip from there. So you guys get anything crazy this weekend or this past week, I guess? Uh-oh.
End of the school year. End of the school year for us.
Oh, we still got 9 days.
Oof.
Sucks. Days. Alex trying to hang out over here, so he's crawling.
There you go. Look at that.
There he is. Now we got 9 days left.
Can he stand?
Pretty close. He's got a pillow right now in front of him that he's holding on to.
Just wants to be on the podcast, man.
Yeah, he just wants some words he's got to say. Apparently,
that's right.
He lost a couple teeth this week, but I mean he'll be all right.
Yeah. That obviously puts a damper on things a bit as well. But like I said, the good thing is kids are resilient, and even though that one was a little tougher than probably a little more involved than just a little bump on the knee. So
yeah, at least
you're dang right.
He's
dang right.
Oh man. Well,
I wish but we're not done yet.
Yeah. Well, boys will be boys, kids will be kids. So
yeah,
bumps and bruises all around. So
we in the teacher's game call that logical consequences.
There you go.
Yeah, I texted Barrick. Barrick said that probably isn't going to be the only trip. I was like, thanks, Barrick. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully, it's the only one we take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His bedside manner sucks for a doctor. And I would say that to his face.
Well,
and he'd probably agree with me.
It may not. Your logical consequence may not be just in the teacher field either. So. Well, sir, when you jumped off that 4-story balcony, what did you think was going to happen to your right ankle?
Did you think you were just going to fly away?
Oh, man. That's too good. Well, I tell you, baseball has continued to be in full swing all across the board. Braves just, kind of continuing to be the Braves, whatever that means this year at least. The Orioles, we'll get into them a little bit later, but they continue to look like a team that's figuring things out and, looking like they're going to be good. The Rays, I think, have cooled off a bit. They kind of continue to go through a few different things. So, I don't know who in the group would have had the Marlins in second place in the NL East through the month of May, but I don't think any of us did. So, yeah, crazy stuff.
I mean, I know with the NL East, I don't think the Marlins are going to be sustaining that spot. I mean, the Phillies will get hot. They always do. the baffling thing, man, is the Mets. I mean, it's like they got Buck, they got Verlander, they got Scherzer. Like it's all out in front of them, and they spent a ton of money to get there, and it's like, man, that's the part that I don't get.
Yeah, well, and the pitching has been what's kind of let them down. I mean, their offense hasn't necessarily had timely hitting either, but the pitching, they're at a run deficit, which with that pitching staff and that offense, I bet at the beginning of the season they wouldn't have thought they would be at a run deficit at the current, going through the month of May. So, the Braves are the only NL East team with a run positive. So that's pretty crazy.
Positive run differential.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll hop into obviously our bread and butter of the Braves. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They had a tough stretch to end the month that was going to come up. I think the last podcast we did, they had just gotten swept by the Blue Jays. So we had kind of started that stretch with the Red Sox and then coming off of getting swept in Toronto. That wasn't too great. But then go down to Texas. Took care of Texas pretty soundly with a 12-0 win to start the series, lose the middle game 7-4, and then come out on top in the season finale 6-5. And then over the weekend play the Mariners, who are starting to get hot and go through a few different things there. But they're able to take 2 of 3 from that series, which is great. But then obviously have to welcome the big bad Dodgers to town. And we didn't look too great in that series, really on any front. Offensively, starting pitching, bullpen, really wasn't a whole lot of positives other than they salvaged not getting swept at home, which is great. And then welcome the Phillies for a 4-game homestand, and we end up splitting that, thankfully. Again, middle 2 games of that series didn't look great. Zach Wheeler just absolutely shoved it on Saturday afternoon. I think he went 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Not great. Conversely, though, the Braves pitching looked pretty good. I think they had like 16 strikeouts on the day, which 16 of your 27 outs coming by strikeouts, not a bad day. So,
it's been up and down with the Braves right now. It's like the offense hits and we're having trouble staying in a game, and one day it's the bullpen, and I think it's just I think the losing Max Fried and Kyle Wright is now starting to like set in.
Yep.
Whereas like you can kind of get yourself jazzed up for all right, Alec. Hey, no talking back, Alec. Let's go.
He's got a lot to say.
What else?
But I will say this: Acuna is still good.
Acuna's very good.
Austin Riley
starting to heat up.
He's heating up, and TBA, the big man from Alberta, Maple Maddox is back on the mound. That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's the fact that he's walking.
Yeah, without a limp. Yeah,
without a limp. The fact that he is pitching in Major League Baseball again.
Yeah.
For Michael. I think it's Michael now. Did he has to not? He's not Mike Soroka anymore. I think he has to be called Michael.
Interesting. Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah. Mike got hurt. Michael hasn't yet. So
yeah, Michael's healthy. But the fact that he's out there and just doing it.
Yeah.
Much less if he could get back to anywhere close to what he has been.
Yeah, that 2019 form. Yeah.
Oh, mama.
Oh, that would be obviously to your point where you started that. Like, obviously, if he comes in and can at least fill in one of the holes that Max and Kyle left in the rotation, um, obviously that would be great if he can come in and fill at least one of those holes. Um, Spencer Strider is, I think, proving that he can definitely be a number one in a rotation. He's continued to stay pretty strong. Um,
He's so good.
He's so good. Already first pitcher this year to 100 strikeouts, which is bananas.
Quicker than DeGrom last year.
Yeah.
You think he gets? I mean, if he pitches a full year, you think he gets a 300?
Yes.
If he keeps this up, so I mean, averaging 10 a game, like that's nuts.
30 starts, 10 a game, like
Yeah.
that's
which is what he's doing. So anyway, yeah, that would be sick. But you throw, now you got, Strider. If Soroka can kind of bring some consistency, Morton, he's the veteran presence, but I mean, he's not been as consistent in it, but he'll still go out there and give you a good game.
he'll still go out there and spin the nastiest breaking ball you've ever seen. He may not know where it's going. That's his thing. That's so crazy about Charlie. Is it's like it's not the stuff.
Yeah.
He throws at 96 and it's moving all over the place.
Yeah.
That breaking ball is like has the highest spin rate ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
he
has no idea where it's going.
Yeah. It's the 0-2, 1-2 hit by pitch on the curveball that gets him in trouble. He makes two amazing pitches to start an at bat, launches that curveball and hits the dude on the back foot, and you're like, okay, well,
come on.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, again, when you look at this month, I think this month was a big test for the Braves because, again, when you just look at what they had, they started the month out with a doubleheader against the Mets. But then they play the Marlins, which you can't necessarily just sweep them under the rug. Again, they've got a winning record. They're second in the East right now. So, pretty legit. And then you had the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Mariners, the Dodgers, the Phillies. I mean, theoretically, in the scope of all of that, that's every series this month has been a playoff, opponent. And
right.
they've held pat. Obviously, we start this series to close the month with the Athletics. There is no reason we should not sweep this series if the Braves play the caliber of baseball they can.
This series makes me nervous.
We will see. Yeah.
Can we talk about the Athletics for a minute? Like,
sure.
I don't even know anybody on their team.
Yeah. I only know a few because some of the guys did come up with Ryan.
Yeah, Paul Blackburn pitching tonight.
Yeah. Nick Allen.
I know Shea Langoliers because he was traded from the Braves for Sean Murphy.
Yep. Yeah. Well, one of their biggest problems, going back to what we were talking about earlier with the run differential, is they have a minus 199. They have been outscored by 200 runs this year, or they've given up 200 more runs than they've scored, which is
in 50 games.
In 55 games, yeah.
55 games.
So they're not getting anybody out, and they're not scoring a lot of runs. So it's pretty grim.
Is that good?
10 and 45. I don't even know. Like, that's just kind of baffling with the parity that's kind of in the league. How you can be that bad. So
it does make sense that we have just a lot of teams in the National League that are like piddling around 500.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of good teams in the National League, but you have like 2 or 3. I mean, geez, the Astros almost have 40 wins already.
Yeah.
The Orioles would be the number 1 team in the National League, and they're not even first in their own division.
Yeah.
It stands to reason when you have guys out that's hot on start that somebody's going to be down in the bottom, which
yeah,
I don't know.
I was trying to pull up Fangraphs because I was just curious, like statistically how bad Oakland is. I mean, as a team this year, they're hitting 220. Like, I mean, I like some of it doesn't even seem real.
220, like, but with power, like Max, like Matty Olson hits 220, but his OPS is 800.
Well, they are. They're slugging as a team 359. So I'm gonna say that OPS is probably not great. So.
I wonder what I've never thought about. I've never looked that up. Like, what would a good team OPS be? Like, what would like for a year? 700,
I would
750 maybe.
say probably between 700 and 800.
Well, weirdly, this doesn't. Let me look this way. The what I was just looking at didn't give it to me, so let me see if it's on this.
Give it to me, Scotty. Scotty doesn't know.
What the heck? Maybe under advanced. Okay, there it is. All right.
This break brought to you by
Fangraphs.
Fangraphs.
All right. So, crazily enough, Cleveland actually is at the bottom of the league with a 638 OPS. Oakland is just above them with a 657. So,
Okay. What's the top of the league?
So the Rays are leading the league with a 847, and the Braves are not far behind at a 798. So
847.
Yeah. And for reference, like we talked about, the Rays are hitting as a team 273, and the Braves are at 260. And again, the Oakland was down there at 220. So, I mean, yeah, that's still just not great. So, let's look at this. I'm curious about this stat too. Strikeout percentage. Minnesota leads the league with a 26.4% strikeout rate. Yikes! That means one out of every 4 at bats they got a dude striking out. Atlanta, surprisingly, is in the middle of the pack at 23%. I would have thought they would have been a little bit higher just with some of the guys that they've had going up there this year. But
yeah, with some of the, I mean, Olsen was on a historic strikeout pace.
Yeah,
early on.
Well, them and Tampa Bay are right there together with their strikeout percentage, I believe, aren't they?
Where is Tampa? Close. Tampa's 21.9, so little less. But yeah, I mean, still, some pretty grim numbers when you're looking from an Oakland, looking at an Oakland team. They're striking out at a 25.2 for fifth in the league. So, yeah, we talked about it a little bit before too, and it's a combination of ownership doesn't want to put out payroll, but they don't really have a lot of people going to the games, but ownership's trying to move the team. So why would the fans go? So there's this back and forth of, whatever, but you can say what you want to though about like the fans and stuff, because, even when Ryan was coming through there, I mean, they had teams that were going to the playoffs and stadium, I'm not going to say was sold out. That's a pretty big ballpark, but I mean, they were rocking and they were still going out there with one of the lowest payrolls in the league. So I don't think you can't really point to the attendance and say that's the reason why payroll's so low, because payroll's always been low. So
the owner's cheap.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't really know what they expect other than the move to Las Vegas would skyrocket the value of the team potentially and then sell it. But I don't really know what the move is going to really do. So
it's already, the value of the team's already higher. He made money last year. Like he bought the team for millions, and the team's value now is over 1.2 billion. So he's made money. This is a greed thing by the owner.
Yeah. Sports teams, sports franchises, they are raking it in. Like they are raking it in. Even the terrible ones. But like that's the thing with all of these new rule implementations and like the things to kind of prevent this with the expanded playoffs, and like there's like it seems so egregious how like the type of team that they're putting on there. It feels like we're watching Major League. Like it literally feels like a fictional storyline.
Yeah.
Where some owner, and I know it's probably way more complicated than that, and like the all of that, but I don't know, just
well, and again,
for such a historic franchise. I mean, the Athletics are like one of the oldest franchises in baseball.
Yeah.
Like they're like one of the originals.
Yeah.
For that to be in that state ever, I mean,
well, and for them to have been as good as they were in the 70s and 80s too, like, I mean, it's not like this team has been terrible forever. I mean,
no,
they were a powerhouse in the 80s. So
they've been good. They've been a really good, consistent baseball team for a long time. For a long time. I mean, even as recently as like the last few years.
They were a playoff team 2 years ago. Well, 2021.
Golly.
21 before the pandemic.
And I still remember watching Moneyball thinking, yeah, they're all thinking that they game the system and stuff like that. But they had Mark Mulder and Barry Zito and
Tim Hudson. Yeah.
And Miguel Tejada was their shortstop.
Yeah. Eric Chavez.
Eric Chavez was their shortstop, or was their third baseman. It's like they didn't it's not like they just pulled guys off the street.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a lot of guys that were still under team control that were good.
Yeah.
And then they traded them. So
then they traded them.
Yeah. And so just to give the folks listening a comparison and context of what we're talking about. So their total 2023 payroll, and I'll explain this in a second. Their total 2023 payroll is $59.6 million, which is dead last. But when you look at their current active 26-man payroll, it's only 43.8. So they've got 12, almost 13 million payroll that's injured right now. And then they've got, I don't exactly know what this retained means. Let me see if it'll tell me here.
Maybe it's they're paying other people that are not there.
Yeah. So it's payroll that they're paying for players that aren't on their team. It's 1.5. And then they've got buried payroll of 8.6, which means it's payroll for like minor league guys that are making major league money. So, yeah. So again, really, when you look at the team they're playing with a $43 million payroll in comparison to the New York Mets, who have the highest current payroll of 265, which is crazy. Crazy.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, their overall payroll for this year, including everything that I mentioned before, is 345.9.
What? They have $80 million of payroll not on the field?
41.6 injured, 34.5 retained, and then 8.9 buried. So, yeah, they're paying $34 million to players that are probably playing against them. So,
well, that was the Braves' reason for keeping Arizona.
Yeah,
is like we're gonna have to pay somebody else to play against him, and he can smash when it is. And now he's had a month of May where he's hit I think he's hit 9 or 10 home runs.
Well, and that's something the Braves historically have never wanted to do. They don't particularly like paying players to not play for them. So they're right in the middle of that at about $10 million in retained payroll, which I would be very interested to know who makes that up, because that, again, the Braves don't traditionally let guys go. So I would be interested at where that number is. Interestingly enough, there are 5 teams who have 0 retained payroll. I would say probably the most shocking on that list is the Philadelphia Phillies. So they have a $243 million payroll, and it's all theirs. So good for them. Good for them. So anyway,
Dave Dombrowski is a stud GM.
And just so we can have this conversation as well, so people don't come at us in comments or anything like that. So the Rays have the best record in baseball overall. They are currently playing with a 26-man payroll of 62.9, which is only 17 million more, 27 million more than Oakland. So I'm not sitting here saying payroll makes your difference, but when Oakland has statistically and probably historically been probably the bottom 5 for 15 years, probably. I mean, I'd have to go back and really comb through that, but I mean,
it's a player development thing. I mean, geez, think about the number of players that the Rays have developed, and when they get them to their payday, see you later. We'll find somebody new. We'll develop somebody new. And so, that's the model that the Rays want to go with, and they don't get big-time free agents. They're pretty disciplined with their free agent signings, and, I understand that model.
Yeah.
Okay. I also understand the New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, the Yankee, that high spender model. We want these kids, or we want these good players to come play for us, and we'll give them long-term deals. And I understand that as well. If you can do it, you can do it. The Rays can't do it, so they said, you know what, we're going to develop these guys to be amazing Major League Baseball players, sink into analytics, and make sure we can get it going, which to me is competitive at whatever, what'd you say it was, 70-some million, 62, something like that?
Yeah.
Good. So what do you say when it's okay, you're not developing any players? I don't even know anybody in your lineup.
Yeah.
Nobody's producing,
Fair.
and you're not spending any money on other outside free agents.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can have the number 1 pick in the draft 10 years in a row, and maybe 2 of them get to the big leagues.
Yeah. Well, and same can be said for the Orioles in terms of what they're doing in their current model and their current mindset. I mean, they're playing with a $65 million payroll, so it's even less than the Rays, and the Orioles are right behind them in the division. So, I think, again, overall, when you look at it, too, according to Spot Track, league average payroll is 161. That's a pretty big number. So
that's the league. That's the average.
Yeah. So.
And your upper end's very high.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is.
Yeah.
There's 8 teams over 200 million. So.
Are the Braves one of those?
Yes.
Yeah, they're the last team at 201. So the Braves have they're a top 8 payroll. So. Which is interesting because I believe going into the season, 2023 season, they said they wanted to be a top 5. Now, I don't think they necessarily anticipated the Padres and Mets and Phillies and Dodgers continuing to spend at the rate that they were spending and how much money it would have taken. Because to be a top 5 payroll, it's not actually that big of a difference, but the Dodgers are the 5 at 226. So it's one more deal. It's one more $20 million deal, basically. So, but yeah. I mean, the Yankees payroll obviously jumped through the roof with the Judge signing. They're at 279. So they're the closest team to the Mets. That's pretty amazing, though. The 2 New York teams are pushing roughly a $600 million payroll. So, and neither one, yeah. Yeah.
But I get Judge. He's 29. He's a stud. He's generally healthy. He's gonna play every day.
Yep.
Why are you gonna give $90 million to a 39-year-old pitcher?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's Verlander.
Yeah. Because I guess he still had it last year, but
eventually age catches up, boys.
Yeah, that shoulder can only rotate so many times. We all only got so many rotations.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, mine ran out in college, but
I mean, that's what screwed the Angels with Pujols' deal, with A-Rod's deal. I mean, it's like you pay them for what they did,
yep,
and that's what they. I mean, and that's great, but like that's the one thing that I do really think about. I mean, the Braves, like they're not going to pay Max Fried based on what he's done. If they pay him,
yeah,
What can you do? Or what
the
can he
Braves are going to pay him for if they're going to give him 5 years. Well, what is he going to be in year 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35? That's what we're going to do.
yeah. Well, and I think ultimately when the casual Braves fan looks at that, they get frustrated because you get into situations like a Freddie. Now, Freddie obviously is very different, generational talent, and it is what it is. But then you move to the guy like Dansby. Dansby was wanting the contract for what he had done up until that point, and the Braves, obviously taking into account that he's from Georgia, I think they gave him a reasonable offer. But they were looking, I think, to your point, Rob, at the future. What are you going to do over the next 6 years of that deal? And I think their last offer was like 115. So
they valued him at I think a $17 million a year player,
yeah,
and that's here's the next part. It's very easy for people to argue, but like look at the results. Alex Anthopoulos has
yeah,
time and time again. He has backed the money truck up for a lot of people.
yeah,
And Chipper said it best. The man's got a job to do, and if you're standing in the way of him doing his job, he will move on.
yep. Well, and it's like too, I think true when you look at the Braves, like, we've had this payroll conversation and this contract conversation here a lot. And this is where Ryan could kind of help us a little bit, at least from the player's perspective. But, baseball, to like Rob was saying, has always been, because of the 6 years of control and all the stuff that these players have to jump through to get to that point of free agency and all that. It's always been, we're going to pay you on what you did, not to what we've been saying here of what you're going to do in the future. And it gets teams in these crazy $13 million, 13-year, $300 million deals that at the last couple years of it, it looks terrible. And they hamstring themselves with payroll, and, it's not great. And then you look at what the Braves model has been when you look at Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olsen, Harris, Strider. They're giving all these guys deals on the front end of their contracts or front end of their years and saying, hey, this is what, Acuna, we think you're $100 million player for the next 10 years at 19 years old. Like, we're going to pay you that. And it's crazy that people are like, oh, Acuna should have never signed that deal, like all that. It's like the Braves guaranteed him $100 million at 19. Like,
he also tore his ACL.
No team has done that.
So,
yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, I don't know. I'm watching the A's here play, and I'm watching the Braves, and it is baffling to me that a Major League Baseball team cannot put a competitive team on the field only 50 games in, only 55 games in. Like, I understand the attrition. Sometimes you get, guys get hurt.
Yeah.
Things happen. But man, it is.
I mean, the A's haven't been competitive 2 weeks into the season. I mean, they were like 1-12. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, I think I cut you off at one point there, Drew. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add into that?
No, it sucks that, we're at this point with some of these teams and some of these owners that won't spend money to put a competitive team out there. When in a baseball-rich place like Oakland, fans will go to the games. I've been there. I've seen them come out there. They come when there's a competitive product on the field.
Yeah.
I've seen the competitive product on the field, and I've seen the I've seen the Coliseum packed, but what they're doing now and all their fans, they're very knowledgeable fans of the game. They see exactly what's going on, and they're not going to support it because they know that they're going to leave. And then, well, I mean, you got your diehards. I mean, I've met the people in right field. I've met those people. They're great people. They understand baseball. They know, the ins and outs. And it's like, our owner's killing us. They need to, owner needs to be gone. Somebody needs to take over Oakland that wants them to stay in Oakland and wants to put some money in. But it just sucks that they're possibly going to move to Las Vegas, and then are they going to expand and put another team in Oakland, or are they going to look elsewhere? And I'm probably going to look elsewhere.
Do you think they should have a spending floor, a
Yes.
salary floor?
Yes. I don't know what the floor is, but yes, they should. And I don't think what.
I mean, think of it. All right. What did you say it was, Scotty? They're at 50 some odd million. What were it? Let's put it at 75. You got to spend 75 million.
There's only two teams that haven't spent 75 million. That's Baltimore and Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah, think if Baltimore had $25 more million to spend on.
I mean, I guess my whole thing is like, what would you do to enforce that though? Like,
give it to you either spend it or you lose it. Spend it, give it to Major League Baseball.
No,
you either owe us or you either put it on the players. Like I think you could get support on both sides of the Players Association and the owners.
I would say you would deduct that from their competitive balance, their luxury tax that they get from the higher up teams.
Yeah, there are ways. There are ways you could do it. By the way, guys,
I'm just saying though, go ahead.
But nothing. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, my only thing is just like you can offer a guy $20 million, which I know is good money, but like, what if he doesn't want to go play in Oakland? Like,
then you spread it out amongst the players you have. Like, okay, we have $25 more million to spend. Free agency's done. Things like that. We've spent our caps here. All right. Well, guess what?
Everybody gets $1 million signing bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or go invest it into your minor league system.
Or if you, I just think you've got it. Like, that's the part that you got to look at is like,
when the Oakland A's are
yeah.
10-41 or 10 and whatever they are, and they are worth a $1.2 billion value.
Yeah.
What's an extra couple million here, a couple million there? I mean, honestly, I know that sounds horrible. Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to have a very quality farm system, which is why they got to where they were. You had the Matt Olsons, the Sean Murphys, the Matt Chapmans, the Chad Penders, who just retired, Sean Manaea.
Jeez, think if they still had those guys.
AJ Puck,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
At the end of the day, got up there too. I mean, Laureano's still there, but I mean, those are all guys that were Addison Russell back in the day when he wasn't doing crazy things to women. But
Marcus Semien.
Yes, Marcus Semien. All those guys were in Oakland at the same time.
Ryan Dole.
Yeah. They're all in Oakland at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and again,
farm system.
When you look at those teams that are winning minor league championships, like obviously they've got good teams. And so those teams, won a lot in their minor league years. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think really the shift in baseball it all starts for me at the team control years. Like baseball, that's where their biggest reform needs to be. If baseball would figure that out.
Yeah, because if you got guys getting to free agency at 26,
yeah,
when they have 3-4 years in their 20s left before they hit 30,
yeah,
you can give Riley a 10-year deal and get half of it.
Yeah,
between the ages of 25 and 32.
Yeah,
I
would just be interested, like and this is just where me lacking as a historian is like, when did this team control? Like, has that always been a thing? Or was this a newer collective bargaining thing? Like, because I don't know. It just seems very archaic. And I would just love to hear the reasoning. Like, was it for the small market teams to keep really good guys for longer? Was it for owners to be greedy and not have to pay guys? Like, what's the argument? Like, what's the thing? And
it's more the owner side, and that's what's going to hold it up for any collective bargaining agreement is the owners won't agree to it. And if as long as Rob Manfred's around, he's going to support his owners. And
yeah,
that's who he's employed by.
Correct.
Yeah, to me, that's just what's got to go. No other sport has that level, because when you look at the NFL, like they're drafting guys and they sign, those big rookie contracts are 4 years with a 5th-year team option. So they kind of got them. And then technically they do have 2 franchise tags that they can apply. So you could look at that and theoretically say that they've got 7 years of control over a guy, but the difference is that guy's getting paid really, really well. And in baseball, they're not getting yearly salary paid very well. Most of those guys are getting upfront signing bonus, which is what it is, but still it's nothing compared to an NFL contract. I don't know. To me, that's where the reform needs to start, in my opinion, is that specific item. But what do I know? So I'm just a good old country boy from North Carolina that just watches baseball. So
yeah, but sometimes I think we forget. Sometimes I think they forget that there are millions of people who just love the game.
Yeah.
And that's not the motivating factor for a $1 billion company.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's a shame because of the investment and emotional time and that people put into watching their team or their favorite player.
Or kids or coaches that are putting in time to try to be there one day.
Yeah.
Or send kids there one day. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Go Eagles.
I don't know if you guys or if any of the folks out there listening, if you're Ted Lasso fans, maybe skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want spoilers. But I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes ago, the team owner of Richmond, Rebecca, was in a meeting with these owners talking about forming a super league. And it was talking about money and like what it was going to do. And like they were going to come out of the English Premier League and all this stuff. And she essentially made that argument. Like, you're taking away something that means something to people. Like having Manchester City come to Richmond means something, or having, Arsenal go to play Manchester United, like that means something. And when these billionaire owners start making financial decisions that are just going to put more money in their pockets, they take away from what the game's actually meant, the history of it, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a fair point nonetheless. So any other Braves fun items you guys have seen or looked at here lately?
I know they got a stud in AAA that's been making some progress. So
Who this be?
Left-hander, I do believe.
Lefty.
Came up from high A, double A, and is now AAA. First AAA star was like 7 innings.
Oh yeah, we talked about that kid.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, I like this guy. I like this guy we just pulled up. Soroka's settling in, guys. He's sitting. He just hit Shea Langoliers with a 95 mile an hour fastball up at the shoulder. Like he's letting it eat now.
Must be close to his pitch count.
Nah, I mean he's only at 56.
You said that guy was a lefty, Drew?
I think he's left. He might be right-handed. I thought he was left-handed. I may be wrong.
I was gonna say, is it that? I thought it was that AJ Smith Shaver.
That's it.
Okay, he's right-handed. Yeah, that's all good.
Drew just wanted him to be left-handed.
Yes, he did.
He would already be up there if he was left-handed. So
100%.
He's already jumped. He's in his 3rd level this year. So
yeah, that's to go from high A to AAA in the same season is no joke. So
But that's another thing that the Braves do that tells these guys, look, if you perform, we're going to push you. Like if you're down there crapping around, not doing anything, then we're going to push you. And that is really cool that this guy's performed and he's gotten pushed up that high. Hey, let's see what you can do, man.
Yeah.
Let's see what the kid's got. Love it.
I was trying to see, where did he come from?
Draft, I think.
Yes, draft. 2021 draft, 7th round, out of Colleyville Heritage High School in Texas.
It was high school.
Wow. So
Yeah.
he's only been in pros 2 years. High school pitcher.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's 20. So he's got a lot of innings left in that arm.
21 in November. So yeah, he's got some time.
Yeah. Yeah, he played with Bobby Witt Jr. in high school. So not too bad. And he was gonna go to Texas Tech until the Braves got him. So
well, Rosario just missed a cutoff, man, and now the Braves are in hot water.
Fundamental baseball, as always.
Just hit the cutoff, man, and you got it manageable.
Yeah.
Now.
All right, we'll move on real quick. Just they deserve it. They deserve a little bit of time. The Orioles. Yeah, I mean, Barrick and I talked about this, I think, in the second episode of that we did this year. We were just chatting about their May schedule. So we talked about the gauntlet that the Braves had to go through. Here was the Orioles schedule. And again, they kind of started out not as strong. They had a 3-game series against Kansas City that they took 2 out of 3. But then they had to go on the road and play Atlanta. They went back home and played the Rays and the Pirates and the Angels. And then they went to Toronto, to New York, and then back home against the Rangers. And they're finishing out the Guardians this week to end the month. So again, I mean, that's playoff team after playoff team. Your only question mark there possibly being the Pirates, but I mean, they've hung in there. So as of right now, they're a playoff team. But and they've won every series through that stretch, with the exception of the Braves series in the beginning of the month. They split a 4-game series with the Angels, and then they lost the series against the Rangers this past weekend. But they swept the Blue Jays. They took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, 2 out of 3 against the Rays. Really probably should have took 2 out of 3 against the Braves, if we're being honest. So, I mean,
that was back and forth.
For him, that's a pretty good month, to say the least. And you're looking at it from an Orioles fan. And to Barrick's point, he was kind of like, are the wheels going to fall off at some point? And I think if you were looking, this was the month that the wheels should have fell off, and they didn't. So I think there's something to be said about that. So,
and the thing is, I mean, I know they just sent Grayson Rodriguez down because he's been struggling, but that cupboard ain't bare, man. That cupboard is not bare at all in their organizations, their minor leagues, because AAA is very, very good. I think it's probably the best AAA team in the International League, I think.
Yeah.
AA is very good, and you got Jackson Holiday hanging out in High A. And I talked with one of their coaches. It was the guy that signed Xavier with Tampa Bay. He's now one of the coaches with Aberdeen, and he said that might be the best player I've ever coached.
Wow!
And when he was here in Winston-Salem, that was when he went. I think he went 4 for 5, and then 5 for 6 in back-to-back nights. And one night was almost hit for the cycle, and the only thing he didn't do was hit a single.
Was that the same? Was that the same draft with? Was he in the same draft with Andrew Jones's son?
Yeah, Andrew Jones was the second pick. That was last year's draft, 2022 draft.
Yeah,
Jackson, number 1 pick, and then Arizona picked Drew Jones because there was a big debate on who was going to go 1 or 2, and somebody was like, the Orioles hit it perfectly with Jackson Holiday because Drew Jones. Drew Jones has been hurt.
So who's gonna play shortstop?
I don't know, man. They got multiple guys that can go play with shortstop. They could run if they wanted to, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I know you. I know you. You draft a bunch of shortstop center fielders and you figure it out. But like,
I mean, there's reasons that Connor Norby's been playing not
Left
just second
field,
base.
yeah.
He's played left field, right field. Like they're moving him around just to get his bat up there eventually. And I mean,
if
Cedric
you can hit, you can
Cedric,
play.
right? Cedric Mullins just went down today with a growing strain. I mean,
Oh, Drew.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to go if he gets pulled?
We shall see. I got a lot of things going on this week. One of those being Courtney's birthday Wednesday. So as long as it's not Wednesday, and then we got the T-Ball World Series on Thursday. So as long as it's not Wednesday or Thursday, we've got an idea, a possibility of things making it happen.
It also depends
World
on where
Series?
they are.
What is the T-Ball World Series?
It's just a thing where the kids get their medals at the end. And they make a big deal of it. They announce it, play music. Yeah, fun stuff.
At Swain?
Yeah.
Always doing it right, man.
Is it still legit over there at Kernersville Little League?
Oh, no.
Why not?
Travel ball, man. Travel ball's the name of the game.
Dirt bags.
I mean, the Orioles. I mean, I don't think Colton Cowser's the guy getting called up soon because I think he's on the IL on AAA. But
yeah,
I don't know who they're going to call up. I mean, they got plenty of guys there in AAA just ready to get called up. So
yeah,
I want to know more about Kernersville Little League. Can we have that on the agenda?
We'll talk about that off the podcast. How about that?
Yeah.
Why?
That one may not need to be public.
Yeah.
That's a 2 beers and a pre-podcast meeting.
Are you generally happy with your child's playing experience?
Yeah, because I'm a part of it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm the one doing the coaching at this point. I mean, there's not a lot of coaching in T-ball.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's a conflict of interest. I don't think you're allowed to coach the high school team and a little league team.
Yeah, actually I can. I'm probably
coach. That's double-ended.
Coach,
I can't do that.
I can coach high school kids as long as it's 8 or less.
Also, you can go over to Kernersville Little League and be the head coach of like 3 teams and just spread your whole team out. Theoretically,
it's T-ball though. I think we're okay. I don't think Alex I don't think Bodie's making the varsity team next year.
If I'm gonna schlep my Covenant Eagles down to North Carolina to get our boat raced, then I want to make sure it's on the up and up, Scotty.
Look, man, you gotta have your handprints on some things. Working your way into Easter Side, so you gotta have your handprints on the way.
There you go.
No, I know. I'm doing the same thing. I go over to McIntyre Little League over here in Charlottesville all the time. It's right across the street from the school.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I think the conversation is no longer are the Orioles good. We kind of had that conversation last week, but I think we've got to get through. Like we're over the hump of this. Are the Orioles real? Can they keep it going? Like all that kind of stuff. I think we're to the point. Like the Orioles are good. The Orioles are very talented. They're young, and it's now just a matter of can they catch the Rays, and can they keep up in the AL East, because the AL East is still fierce as a division.
Wow, it's fierce. Sorry, I don't know why I thought that.
I mean, every team is still above 500. It's the only division in baseball that's remotely close to that. So, yeah, just I think we're past that conversation. So, obviously, looking ahead just a little bit, they play the Guardians this week at home to wrap out the month with an off day on Thursday that starts the month. And I got to say, their schedule doesn't get a whole lot easier, honestly, in the month of June, which is a bit saddening. But they got to go to San Francisco, to Milwaukee. They come back home for Kansas City and Toronto, and then go back on the road against the Cubs and the Rays. And then they come back home to end the month with the Mariners, Reds, and Twins. So there's a little bit of some easier competition, but that's still, I mean, they're still playing their division, the Rays and the Blue Jays. The Mariners are still a playoff team. Milwaukee is always tough. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they can keep it going. I will say I did not see Cedric Mullins' injury. That will be something to definitely keep an eye on, though.
Credit to the Orioles for keeping him because he's been around a lot longer than a lot of these players, and I know his name has been. I know his name at trade deadlines in the past has been touted around as a guy who could get traded, and then so you know what, it sucks to get injured, but credit to the Orioles for keeping him. I hope he gets better soon. What is his injury?
Right abductor groin injury.
Did he go to Grimsley?
No, I do not think so.
Where's he from?
Greensboro. That's why I asked. Because he also went to Campbell. Drafted by the Orioles in the 13th round of the 2015 draft. And yeah, to your point, Rob, he is 28 years old, made his debut with them in 2018.
So what high school did he go to? He's from our neck of the woods. We got to figure that out.
He actually ended up moving. He went to Brookwood High School in Georgia. Then went to Lewisburg College and then Campbell.
Got it.
Born in Greensboro, though.
Born in Greensboro.
And then moved to Georgia.
Georgia.
All right, so he made his debut in 2018, but he didn't really become an everyday Oriole until
19.
Yeah, well, he didn't get called up in 19 until September. So 2020 was really kind of his first full season, and he hasn't really looked back since. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, so what is he at? That's 3 service years he's looking at. He's only 28. So, yeah, still young and definitely, as crazy it is at 28 years old, gives him a nice veteran presence of he's at least been there and, had his cup of milk, so to speak, cup of coffee, whatever the phrase is. So tea. Yeah. Gatorade, whatever his beverage of choice is. So.
Straight alcohol.
Oh yeah. Shot of whiskey. Why do we get stuck in catchphrases like that? Like, we don't know what the guy likes. So, yeah, we wish him a speedy recovery. Obviously, that sucks.
That could be a segment of our podcast. See how long we can go with movie catchphrases.
I don't know if the podcast viewers would like that too much.
They can have fun with it. They could have fun with it. They could guess along as we're doing it and see how many they can get right.
There you go.
We can make it a bingo game.
What did we get up to that time with the Denzel Washington quote? It was like 8, 9 in one episode. Oh man. Cool deal. Anything else on the Orioles?
Love the City Connect uniforms.
Yeah, that is something we can talk about. We didn't really put on the list.
Except the Braves can't really win in theirs.
I know. Also, not sure. I mean, I get they got Red Top Fridays, but is the Saturday really the day that we should be wearing? I feel like Sunday would be a much better day to wear those than. But don't they wear something special on Sundays typically?
It used to be Sunday red, just like it was for Tiger. It used to be.
Is that on Sunday or Friday? Did I get that mixed up?
I'm saying it used to be Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Changed now.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, it's like when you come out with that jersey, almost why do you not just make it your home jersey for that season,
sure,
and then add it? I don't know.
I like it.
I like the old school original Braves, but when you're debuting a new jersey, let's see it. I don't know.
Show me the money.
Maybe why they're trying to do it every single Friday or Saturday, Sunday, whatever they choose.
But yeah, to your Orioles comment, the Orioles did announce their City Connect jerseys. I think it was last week or the week before. Mixed reviews from the guys in the podcast. Barrick's not here, so I'll just say that he was not a fan, really. I will say on the surface, it does look rather plain. Barrick and I had talked about a lot of different options they could go with, using a lot of that orange and black color scheme. Rob and I spent a lot of time there, like that guy with the monocle that's like everywhere in the city. Like we thought he would somehow have some influence in there, but again, I think it's cool, like having that sleeve kind of rolled up and like showing some of that color. It's just there's not enough of that color contrast. Like,
right.
It is a lot of a very plain black jersey. So I do get that point, but
I like it. Reminds me of the Civitan days, Drew. Fear the black.
Thank God we didn't have black pants.
But the black penny pants with that in it, that was sharp. That was a sharp looking one. For those of you who don't remember or have no idea what we're talking about, several of the members of the podcast team played on the same Little League baseball team, sponsored by the local Civitan Club. And the uniform that we chose was a black shirt and white pants with black pinstripes, and it looked dope.
Black socks.
Black socks.
Pulled up.
The
knees.
Well, for Ryan, it was past the knees. Ryan had that thing around it. Ryan had that thing around his thighs.
The people listening might know somebody famous, that played for the old Civitan back in the day, Mr. Chris Lane, who country music artist. So
yeah,
there
Chris Lane. Yeah, we have some famous alumni.
Yeah,
we got a big leaguer. We got several college players who played for the old Civitan.
I was a proud member of the D-Busk Motors. We were a bright purple with white and purple pinstripe pants and purple socks. So.
That's it. That is it, Scotty. Golly. What's the and then when y'all moved up, when everybody moved up, I know I was on Wicker Motors. What were y'all? What did y'all move up to?
Captain Tom's and with the
Captain Tom's. I forgot. Captain Tom's Seafood.
So black and white. I don't remember.
Y'all probably went to black and white.
It was black and white one year. Then it was gray and white one year. We had like a gray top.
Yeah.
My question is, I bet your mom still has those scorebooks, Drew, from like the old Captain Tom's Wicker Motors.
They're in the basement.
I'd love to go watch those. I'd love to go look through those.
Well, I will say 1 year, 2013. It's my 14-year-old year.
2004, Scotty.
2004.
Is what you're looking for?
Yeah.
2005.
2005.
No, I think it would have been.
You're 91.
Before. No, I was 90.
No, 2005.
But my birthday was different than everybody, so I had to play down.
I forget that you were a year age younger than us.
Yeah. Anyway, one of those years, it was my junior league all-stars. Anyway, they put together this nice book for us at the end of it that had a compilation of our stats, and I found that moving out of my dad's. He was moving a couple weekends ago, and we found that, and pretty solid summer, hitting 400. So not too bad looking back on those memories.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild looking back on some of that stuff. We found a newspaper clipping, and we like I guess dumped like the Gatorade cooler on Doyle Freeman, and the picture is us standing on home plate, and I'm jumping like I'm behind the group that dumped it. And this picture makes it look like I've got like a freaking 6-foot vertical. Like I'm so far off the ground. It's ridiculous. So it's my claim to fame. So I showed Elizabeth, I said, see, I used to be athletic at some point in my life. So, but yeah.
I remember a water cooler dunk, Rob.
What?
I remember a water cooler dump.
I bet you do. I bet you do. I think that was probably the same summer, wasn't it, Drew?
Yes, it was.
Weren't you on the little league, the junior league team, Scotty?
Yeah, he was
same
on
summer.
Team.
Yeah, and then you guys were the senior league team. That was the year I was still down.
Yep.
Yeah, you were 14, and everybody and the seniors was 15 and 16.
Yep. And then, but yeah, no, it was, looking back on those times, it was cool. So I will tell you, I had and this may not be the fun memories for us to chat about, but there was a college team that ran the fall down play this past week. I saw on social media to perfection. Lefty on the mound, runner on third, broke. Runner on first takes one step and just trips on his face. The pitcher is just standing there on the mound looking at the kid, and the guy's sliding in at home plate. And I'm like, works every time. It's like a charm. So,
dude.
Yep. Those were the good days.
I tried to explain that. To our guys in a practice.
The fall down play or the double steal?
The fall down. I said, well, when you get that far off, then you have to fall. And you got to make it look good. And they went, huh?
What?
Tell it, boys.
You want us to fall?
Yes, fall. Although, you'll like this. So we're in our playoff game. And it's a 4-2 ball game. And you gotta understand, when I think fake bunt steal, I have a special connection to it because I literally fake bunt steal. We will literally fake bunt steal at the beginning of every single baseball game that summer.
Yes.
I would show, and I'd wiggle, and I'd pull it back real fast. And Ryan would run to second.
David Martin would run to second.
Or David Martin would run to second. And then I would knock him over to third. And then Ryan would come up and hit him in. Like, that's how we did it.
And then Kenny would hit a home run, and we're winning 2-0 in the first inning.
Yeah. So that was the goal. Be up 1-0 before Kenny gets up. And so we get to the playoff game. We're in it. We're winning 4-2 in the sixth. Yes, 4-2 in the sixth. And they make a pitching change. It's first and second, nobody out. And I come up, I get the guys together, their guys were warming up, and I'm like, my 3-hole hitter's up. All right. And I'm like, all right, guys, how frosty are you guys feeling? They're like, huh? I said, we're going to fake bunt steal. Double steal. Fake bunt, double steal.
Love it.
And it blew their mind. Blew their mind. A guy shows bunt. He did it to perfection. He's holding it out there. He's like, and he yanks it back right at the last second, and they're just off like a light. And I was like, done.
Works.
Their baseman wasn't even standing there.
Yep. Now, and it gets obviously a little bit different in high school to some degree, but
you got a catcher who can throw.
Yeah.
Or who's disciplined in it.
Those little league days and like senior league days, like that stuff, like the base running, if you're a good base running team, you will baffle teams hard.
You can get away with a lot of stuff in high school, more than I thought.
Yes.
Maybe that's just of where we are. But like, I'll hit and run with runners on first and second a lot because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to call the coverage and how to like not cover the base. So like if you hit and run, if you have double steal at first and second, they will vacate. They will cover first, second, and third. And you have literally one infielder who's standing out there, and more than likely he's working his way to back up the throw to second base because that's just what they do.
Yeah. So now you got holes everywhere.
So just hit a ground ball.
Just hit the ball. For the love of God, just hit it.
Just hit it. Just
tap it in.
Just tap it in.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I mean, like, yeah, that's. I mean, you could do a lot of that stuff just because teams aren't disciplined in how they do it, or they don't call it. Like, Drew, do y'all have a first and second call to like let people know who's covering which base? Like, if they do one.
Not typically. I mean, you don't see people double steal as much. I mean, we double steal all the time, but same thing. Your reasoning. Two reasons for us was one that put a lot of people in motion. Two, we just had the athletes to be able to pick up and go at any point in time. And I mean, we'd pick up most of the time. We double steal, and we never put the steal on. Our guys had green light most of the time. That was just that's our guys knowing the game, and then they're picking up pitchers like they would know. All right, he's one looking, and he's 1,002 to the plate. So as soon as he lifts his leg up, I'm gone, and nobody throw me out. And then our guy at first just says, "Oh, he's gone, I'm gone." So
we had an unreal amount of catcher talent in our conference this year. We had 2 kids committed to go. One to go to Liberty, one to go to Georgetown, one to go to William and Mary. Like, we had like senior veteran college catchers.
that's what we had. But I mean,
yeah,
we steal on those guys because we steal on the pitchers. That's the one thing that the pitchers run into in high school is, oh, we got this great catcher that throws a 1-9 or on the money all the time. Well, you don't give him a chance to throw anybody out when you're a 1-5, 1-6 to the plate.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all we would do is we like, okay, he's slow to the plate. We're going to steal. I don't care how good the catcher is. And I mean, back in 2019, we played Providence, who had a kid named Ray Torres, who's like a 175. I mean, legit 175. But the pitcher was like a 1-6, 1-7 to the plate, and we'd run on him when we got people on because
doesn't matter.
I mean, that's a 3-4. We're going to steal on a 3-4. If we can run, if our guys can get from first to second in 3.4, 3.5 seconds, we're going to take a chance because that's
got to be perfect.
It's got to be perfect. So and once we started
doing 175.
What's that? Yeah,
175.
He was very, very good. But he was just he hit pretty well. I mean, he's supposed to go to LSU. Ended up going to San JUCO, and then ended up signing with the Nationals. But I don't know if I think I just looked. He's playing with Gastonia Honey Hunters, but I don't know how good of his character was. But I don't know all the issues with that or whatever. But I mean, he was good.
We've hijacked your plan, Scotty. Sorry about that.
I did.
Hey, I'm all for conversation. Like, that's what this is supposed to be. So I got no problems. So I love it. And to your point, that's one of I think the most underutilized things in high school, and something that I honestly took pride in high school was reading pitchers. I didn't play a lot my senior year, but I could sit there on the bench and tell any base runner what that pitcher's move was going to be, what his looks were, hold sequence, any of that stuff. So that's something that's hugely valuable. And again, I've always been a bigger dude, but I've probably had more stolen third bases on most of the teams I played on just from that simple fact of being able to read a pitcher. So,
and I mean, that's what I tell our guys. Third's the easiest base to steal.
Yeah.
I know the catcher's close, but man, you ain't stealing it off the catcher, you're stealing off the pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't steal 96 bases by accident in 26 games. So
yeah,
we had an idea what we were doing.
Got to be smart with it though.
Yep.
Can't make that out at third. So
well, we'll put it this way: we're 96 out of 100.
And here's the next part. I will more than likely teach a kid before crushing a kid on that type of stuff if they're being aggressive. Like, if I have to urge you to go and I've given you the green light, that's when I'm gonna be like, what the heck are we doing over there, man? Like,
you're already in scoring position.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? But like, if I have to urge you to go, I'd much rather coach an overly aggressive kid than an underly aggressive kid, or than a passive kid, especially base runners.
Sure. That's the one thing I think in like the youth game, it's not taught as much, and it's not corrected as much. Like, base running is, if you've got a good base running team, and going back to what Scotty was talking about, you have a good base running. I think Robbie too. If you have a good base running team, and not only just youth baseball, but once you get to high school, if you guys know how to run the bases, that wreaks havoc, man. Especially if you guys know how to run them, and then you throw speed on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was our year this year. That was part of our thing was we had guys that could run the bases. I mean, and then on top of that, I mean, we run 7 guys out there that are sub 760 guys. So, and then the guy we pitch run for, our catcher, we'd pull a sub 7 guy off the bench to run too. So, I mean, at that point, you got 8 guys out there that can just stroll around the bases in any point in time. And that's tough on a pitcher because now the pitcher's worried about the guy. Is he going to steal? Is he going to be on set?
Who's your guy? Who's your studs coming back for next year? Like who's your best?
Stop Rising Junior. I had 14 seniors.
And how many do you have on the team?
18.
So who are the 4?
I had 1 sophomore and 3 juniors. And out of the 3 juniors, only 1 played a lot.
A lot?
He hit 333. He played outfield. He'll probably play center or right field next year. Now the pitcher threw 18 innings as a sophomore this year. But he's still got a long ways to go. I mean, he's 6'5", and I mean, he can pitch a little bit, but he's still got to grow up. And I mean, we threw him against Huff, threw him in some big games, just because he had to be in a spot to throw some big games eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he threw as a freshman. He threw 10 innings as a freshman because he was a guy that come up and threw strikes. So
that's what
that's the key, those strikes. So we'll be very young. We're gonna have to coach our tails off next year, but that's gonna be the fun part. Is as long as if they buy in and we get the right people to buy in, everybody else will buy in, and then it'll be fun.
Yeah. That stuff matters. If people don't think that in high school, like you can't just run people out there. You gotta have everybody's got to be on the same page.
Yeah, it's
Well, I say that goes into like your whole college stuff. Everything. This whole week was conference tournament, and a lot of these guys, whether they're in or out or indifferent, they got to get ready for the tournament. Like the guys that know they're in the tournament, you're going to throw your main guys, but you also got to find some of these guys that might have to pitch in this regional because you just never know because you never have enough pitching, especially in a regional, especially in a conference tournament. And, everything is escalated.
You can't lose game 1. Holy cow.
No.
You cannot lose game 1.
You saw that with East Carolina, man. They lose game 1 in extra innings in a game they shouldn't have lost, and then they battle their way and play 6 games, and then or play 5 games, and then their 6th game they're playing Tulane.
They just don't have the juice.
He's got no pitching, but they had a day. Tulane had a day off on Friday. ECU had to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 on Saturday, and then Sunday they play and just run out of gas.
Yep. So, yep. Well, that's a great segue, Drew.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But I mean, great point. NCAA baseball, we're now, in the thick of it with the tournament. It's one of my favorite times of the year when it comes to college baseball. College baseball is so hard to keep up with because there's just so much all the time.
Long year.
So, like, when it comes down to conference tournaments and then it comes down to the tournament and then regionals and super regionals, it's just much more easy to get your arms wrapped around it. So yeah, that's why I enjoy it at this point. So yeah. We talked a little bit surprises. Obviously, South Carolina getting to host that regional with Campbell, NC State, Central Connecticut. I mean, that's definitely one to look at, I think, going into the weekend. Coastal didn't really get a very hard regional. I mean, to be honest, they're in there with Rider, Duke, and UNCW.
Yeah, watch out for the Blue Devils.
Blue Devils could sneak up there. that Virginia regional is going to be pretty fun.
The Wahoo Wah's not happy right now.
I bet they were not happy about
Tony Bennett's probably pretty ticked off, isn't he?
Tony Bennett's probably doing fine.
What's
He may even go watch a game this weekend. He's not out recruiting.
Yeah, UVA, Army.
Brian O'Connor might not be very happy.
Yeah. Brian O'Connor.
Ooh.
Yeah, UVA, Army, ECU, Oklahoma.
Ironically, all three teams they have been eliminated by at home.
Yeah, that's
2016. Actually, 20 Army came over there and beat them. One of those years, I think. And then Oklahoma beat them when Kenny was in 2010 in the Super Regional.
Yep.
You did 27, 15?
16.
16?
16. It was the last Super Regional that UVA hosted.
It wasn't a super, it was a regular regional.
Or regular regional. It was the last regional they hosted.
Yep. I got to be honest. I could say this very uneducated, maybe is the word, but UNC seemed to have gotten a fairly easy regional. I don't know a lot about Indiana State.
Oh, they're good.
I mean, they're a 14 team in the country, so I mean that has to mean something. But
Iowa's really good.
Wright State, Iowa. So I mean, I don't know how. I mean,
Iowa can match it with the arms.
Okay.
The thing about that is, with East Carolina, with Oklahoma, I know Oklahoma's far away. Army, you'll have fans from those places, especially East Carolina, go to Charlottesville. It's going to be real hard for people from Iowa, from Indiana. It's just going to be hard to match what Carolina can bring fans-wise. The atmosphere is going to be really, really pro Carolina.
Well, Indiana State's hosting that one though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think.
Oh, I thought Carolina. Sorry, never mind.
Indiana State. Carolina's the 3 in that region.
Yeah.
Ew.
Iowa's the 2. I don't think.
I'm a snob.
I don't think Indiana State or Iowa has matched up or seen probably what Carolina's seen throughout the year. I may be wrong on that statement, but I don't. I mean, Big Ten was what? Yeah. Maryland was the best team out of the Big Ten. Isn't that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I mean, ACC's got not 8 schools, 7 schools in, and
several. They have several.
7. So, I mean, 3 of the top 8 seeds are from the ACC. I think that says a lot too. So,
yeah,
it's ACC baseball is no joke. It never has been. It's underrated because everybody thinks SEC, but I don't know, man. That's going to be tough for.
Yeah,
I think, like you said, Scotty, I think they got a good draw.
All right. If you could go to play for one school as a college baseball player, where would you go?
Clemson's still real hard to turn down.
Clemson.
UVA would be on my list.
Nah, this is not a list game. This is a one pick. This is a one trick pony pick. Come on.
Vanderbilt.
Ew, come on. The answer is pretty easy for me.
Virginia?
No.
Virginia?
Sorry. No.
What's your answer? Florida?
LSU. LSU.
I'd say they're a sleeper, but they're not a sleeper because they were the number 1 team in the country for God knows how long. But
yeah,
with the lack of academics that I would have to partake in, the amount of people that watch those baseball games, the atmosphere of SEC baseball, LSU. Plus, they have lovely things in Baton Rouge.
They have lovely things on that campus. What are we talking about? Not just Baton Rouge in general.
Miami would be
Hard to turn down too.
hard. Yeah, they would honestly probably be my pick.
Miami?
And I mean, hey, what are we doing here, boys? We're all from Winston Salem. I mean,
No way. I'd never go to Wake Forest.
No.
I would still look at Wake Forest. I mean, the academic side.
I mean, now
Well, yeah,
they're
yeah.
really, really good, but like no.
Again, Rob said I couldn't make a list. So
Well,
No list.
all right, Robbie, as a left-handed hitter, what other ballpark do you want to go play in besides old Ernie Shore Field where the ball flies and it's 300 down the right field line?
Okay, Drew, but you remember me as a hit, and I wasn't a freaking power hitter. I was a punch and Judy shortstop hitter. Come on.
With some bombs at Presbyterian. They were all probably poolside bombs too.
you had that opposite gap power, though. You would hit that gap all day long, almost like you threw it out there.
I could put it in between the left fielder and the shortstop for sure.
I mean, again, I don't want to like Florida. Florida would be hard. Like that would be hard to turn down too. My two picks would probably Florida and Miami.
Central Florida?
No, I do not want to be Central Florida. I think Clemson, Tennessee. That's going to be a fun matchup in that regional. So, I didn't really see any other two great surprises. I guess. Do you think it's fair for what we just talked about? Tulane, 19 and 40. I don't know. That's a tough one to just say that you win your conference tournament and you're in. So,
yeah, I mean, we accepted in basketball, and Tulane got on a run.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
Go Green Wave. Hopefully they don't get boat raced.
Well, and that's what and again, they're in the LSU regional. They got to play LSU first game. So I have a feeling they probably will. I don't know. It's just, if I play Homer for a minute, App went on a pretty decent run through their conference tournament, ended up winning 30 games this year. And so now you've got a 19 and 40 team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just feels tough.
I get it.
And again, I'm playing Homer. I'm sure there's many other teams that were very similar to App in that regard that had very good seasons, and there's no consideration probably because just is what it is. But anyway, so you have any early tournament picks that you think would go in? You don't have to go all the way to who's going to win the World Series, but who you think will at least make the World Series early on in the regional play?
I'd like to see Wake Forest make it. I mean, I think that would be really cool for them. I don't know if Virginia's got the pitching. I'm not super familiar with all of the college baseball. I know I was in college baseball for a long time, and I was much more knowledgeable about it. But again, like you kind of said, the hottest team plays. I've sat and watched really, really talented teams, really, really good teams playing really, really good baseball that don't win.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's been said for the ACC for a long time, right? Like, there's been some really good ACC teams that just didn't really go anywhere.
Right.
So,
and then you have a Fresno State or a Coastal Carolina or something like that just gets hot. So,
Well,
I have teams I'd like to see just for me and just to be compelling. Just to be something I'd be interested in watching. Other than that, I mean, no offense, I don't care about Indiana State.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure they're lovely, and I'm sure they're great people, and they're a really good baseball team, and they've worked extremely hard to get to the point that they are. But
But I think a UNC Arkansas Super Regional would be a little more compelling probably than an Indiana State
Right.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
And I would even say, like, just looking at that, like Coastal Carolina UVA, I think would be a really cool Super Regional if that comes to fruition. Um,
Yeah. It's so volatile.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's crazy too is like you can like college baseball, especially like because of how the format is with the regional, super regional. It's so easy to start looking ahead at like a super regional matchup, and then all of a sudden it's blown completely off the tracks because a team gets upset. I mean, that's no different than that year, Kenny's senior year, 2011 or 12. They end up coming back and beating Wichita State, I think it was. And then they were supposed to go on the road and play a team, and Maryland ended up coming back in the last inning and upsetting that team, and UVA got to host that super regional. So, like,
that was 15.
Well, that was 15? Okay.
Yeah, that was 15. That was a World Series year because we were the 3 seed in the Lake Elsinore Regional, which was UC Santa Barbara. And so we were out in California, and we were matched up with the number 1 overall seeded regional in UCLA.
Yep.
And Maryland beat UCLA in the if necessary game. And we actually had to stay an extra day in California.
Just in case.
Because if they won, we were going to stay.
Yeah.
Because we were not that far from there. And so when Maryland won, they were a 3 seed, we were a 3 seed, and UVA had a better facility to host a super regional. And so we had the super regional UVA against Maryland.
Yeah.
That next week.
Crazy. It's crazy.
The 3 seed would get to host a super regional.
Yeah. So anyway, exciting week for baseball just in general. Again, like I said a couple weeks ago, summertime baseball is my favorite for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons being college baseball kind of comes to the forefront, and it's really cool to see the kids play. But the majors are up and running. You're really starting to see the true competition, the true competitors, who's going to hopefully be kind of playing at the end. And thankfully the Braves still look like they're going to be one of those teams. So, it's just overall a real fun, exciting time. So
love it.
Sweet. Well, you got any closing thoughts? Any last things that we haven't talked about? We've gone a little long tonight, so
let's see. Are the Celtics going to come back from Game 7?
Oh, I haven't even looked.
Let's check.
Espen?
With a heater up 10.
Oh, boy.
Going to the 4th. I might watch it.
Yep. So NBA Finals will be right around the corner. A lot of cool stuff happening. Stuff happening right now. So, well, Drew had to go finish off some parent duties, so he didn't make it back for the last few minutes. But we appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Anything you'd like to submit into the show, keep in mind we have our own email address now, contact@first23rdpod.com. That's contact@first, the number 2, and then the word 3rd pod @gmail.com. As always, down in the description, we've got our Twitter and our Instagram. Be sure to give us a follow over there. We like to engage with you guys there. Here on YouTube, if you can hit that thumbs up button, if you can hit subscribe, it really helps more people see us. And we just enjoy engaging with as many folks out there in the community as we can. So for Robbie and for Drew, I'm Scott. We appreciate you tuning in with us tonight. We will catch you next time. Peace.